Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Trying to kill two birds with one stone today, breaking in a new pair of boots, while I am scoping out a place to bring some of the families, the young, mostly the younger children, with their parents, out here in the woods to do a little bushcraft survival style training. Planning on doing something like that here soon. You know, some primitive bushcraft skills, things like that. So I'm out here doing that today, but I'm also thinking about, well, what I talked about in this morning's video, if you've watched it. There is, sorry, this beef jerky is like leather. It's good. It's got a good flavor, but my goodness, it's like boot leather. Video this morning, if you haven't seen it yet, was talking about the growing rift and the heated kind of conflict that's going on between us and Russia and China and North Korea. Russia and China are sending top diplomats to North Korea for the first time in a few years. There seems to be this buildup. A lot of people believe that we're on the verge of some kind of war. There are still some out there. Based on the comments this morning, some of you said, oh, we're never going to go to war with Russia and China. It's all just it's all just for show. You could be correct. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You could be correct. But there's definitely a very strong war stance happening with Russia and China. There's a video that came out, I don't know, a year or so ago. He wrote a book, Ray Dalio. If you get online on YouTube, you can research and find the video. And he talks about the rise and fall of empires, nations, how, once it was Spain and then it was, Britain and then United States. And there is a cycle, a pattern that forms that you can go back hundreds and hundreds of years and see how these global superpowers, how they rise to power and how they fall. And the United States, of course, is following the exact same pattern, and Russia and China are following the same pattern as nations that are rising up to take over as the world superpower. And usually the one that's in power, they kind of don't take it too seriously that there is a real threat. There's a threat to their existence, that there is this superpower growing and building that wants to take over. Which is Russia and China, and they're actively building their forces, building their technology. They're building their currency capability by buying up all this gold and trying to create a gold-backed digital currency, international trade. They're trying to establish themselves as the diplomats of the world, especially China. They're going throughout Africa and the Middle East, negotiating peace deals. They're doing all the things that America once did. And America's just kind of sitting by, and it's not. I get a lot of this, oh, well, you must hate America. No, I'm as patriotic as you could possibly be, but I'm also aware of how America is. I'm aware of our past and that it's not spotless, and we are not just the good guys because we're America. And America has been very, very foolish, and it doesn't mean that every person in America is bad. It doesn't mean that every service member is bad. But we are definitely going down a very dark path. And I think that our days are numbered. And historically speaking, for the rising superpower to finally take over, there has to be some type of military conflict. So I do think it's probably going to happen. I saw several people this morning commented on this, and then I got a few emails, people directing me to this. And so I did a little research. And I hate to even mention the guy's name. It's not that I think he's awful or anything, but there's a guy out there in the conspiracy theory realm. Some of you like him, some of you can't stand him. Not Alex Jones, but Hal Turner. If you don't know who he is, it's not a big deal. He exaggerates a lot of things, and some things is just flat out not true. What I don't like about him is that he makes these claims but doesn't ever back up sources or anything. Even just news articles. I can understand if you say, I have this top secret source. I've done that before. Someone that I've talked to that's told me this, but at least back up, put pieces together that, these are news articles that indicate this is the way we're going. But as I guess an article on his page or something like that, talking about how Russia is moving missiles into Cuba. Now, some of you older folks, at least my age and older, whether you are alive then or not, know about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Maybe some younger people may not know quite as well of what happened there. But anyways, I can't find any hardcore evidence. But the reason why I'm mentioning it, because normally I wouldn't mention this kind of stuff, is this morning I took a little bit of time and did some research as much as I could online, just using a search engine, and found that some of the accusations, some of the things that he said do have some validity. Several months back, one of the top officials in Cuba made a public announcement that they welcome China and Russia and to do trade and do business, and that they welcomed China and Russia's military on their soil, even to house missiles that could go all the way to the United States. It's been in the news, and it's not fake. It's valid that China is working on building a new military base in Cuba with the help of the Cubans. Russia has a missile destroyer now harbored at one of the Cuban harbors, and then there has been some intel. I mean, this is one of those things you can't prove it, but there's been intel rumors online that there have been cargo ships in China that are being loaded with what appears to be, I guess, from satellites. I'm assuming someone in the system leaked this. I don't know. I can't find that out. But it appears that there was some satellite imagery of what appears to be missile components being loaded onto ships that appear to be headed towards Cuba. So, do we know for certain that they're putting missiles in Cuba? No. Is it probably a pretty good chance? I'd say we're getting there. Could we be seeing another missile Cuba crisis, which is one of the things that we look back in history as the, just before a midnight kind of things when it comes to nuclear warfare. The point is that things are heated up. They are heating up. And whether or not we go to war, whether or not we go to a nuclear war, whether or not there is some kind of Red Dawn invasion or attack on U.S. soil, I can't tell you, but I do think that things are getting pretty serious. And, when we say an attack on U.S. soil, that could be the continental 48 United States. It could be Alaska. It could be Hawaii. It could be military bases in Japan and the Philippines and several other places out in the Pacific. It could be one of our aircraft carriers. That's sovereign U.S. soil, according to international law. So there are other options than just striking here in the United States. That could very well happen. Russia has this sub with that new torpedo that can cause a tsunami. I mean, they could potentially, based on what we kind of know or what's being told that this weapon is capable of, they could potentially take out the harbor there, the port in Pearl Harbor, destroy a good portion of our Navy in Hawaii. Potentially. I don't know. I mean, I'm only basing this off of the public intelligence that's available. I think we are getting close to that. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think we're getting close to it. And I think for folks like you and I, it would be foolish for us to ignore it. We see everything happening. We see all the stuff happening around the world. We see the growing tensions. We see the weakness in this current White House administration. We see the divide amongst Americans. We see the weakness of our military. Don't go too crazy over that. People sometimes do. I'm not poo-pooing service members. I'm saying our military as a whole. Virtually every current active duty military and veteran I've spoken to would agree with that. We're watching our economy become weaker and weaker as we go into an insane amount of debt. The amount of debt that we've gone in just the last few months is absolutely absurd. Like a couple of $1 trillion in just a few months. The fact that we're going through our weapons like crazy, sending them to Ukraine. Will we actually see an actual war with China and Russia, or is the Biden administration so bought and paid for by the CCP that it'll get to that point and then something will happen that we just basically surrender and hand ourselves over? Or will, Biden somehow stay in office through some kind of crazy election debacle and present himself publicly as a duly elected president while actually he's doing things to support the CCP, weaken us so that the CCP is stronger? A lot of options there. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen. But I can tell you this, based on just how I see things, my experience in the world, my knowledge of history, tells me that when there's this much stuff going on, this many different things that's affecting the strength, the stability of this nation, the capability of this nation to be strong and to survive all the coming things, it tells me that we're not in a good place. But, we're not in a good place when it comes to our economy, when it comes to food supplies, when it comes to supply chains in general. I mean, they're talking about that our own electric grid can't even, withstand the strain that it now has on it, and not including the fact that they're pushing all these electric vehicles and more electric appliances and stuff. We're just a few years away from our grid not even being capable of doing anything. All the while, today up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, there was an explosion at a thermal power plant, a meltdown explosion, not thermonuclear, but a power plant. And as of yet, I haven't found any, exactly what happened, but who knows? Could this be some type of sabotage to our infrastructure being done by, foreign agents? Because there's been hundreds of thousands of them coming across the border over the last couple of years. There's a lot going on, and this isn't fear and doom and gloom and we're all gotta get out here in the woods and gotta, survive. No. I mean, it could come to that, but we have to be smart. We have to keep our wits about us. We have to keep our head on our shoulders straight and understand that there is an increased possibility that in our lifetime, not even our lifetime, in the immediate time period, and I'm saying months, we could be facing a very serious time period that could be detrimental to us existing as a nation, at least existing in the way that we have for the last 250 years. A lot could happen. And if things go crazy, if things get, heightened terror alert or some type of heightened alert because of attacks, militarily, war, some new pandemic, you could see certain levels of emergency orders, i.e. martial law, put into place where they could say, oh, we're rounding up all the guns and ammo. We're rounding up all the gold and silver. You can't have, all this food supply. We need it. These things are not that out of the possibility. I mean, we've rounded up gold before. Many other countries have rounded up guns. Our own current president would love to do that. He wants to do that. He's open about it. They want to take them away from us. You just have your little single shot, pump shotgun, single shot shotgun, whatever you want, and you're fine. That's it, double barrel shotgun. He says those are okay. That everything else got to go. All those bad, evil black pistols and rifles. They want to do these things because they've said it so out in the open. And all they need is something to happen to give them the excuse to put their plans into action. And we're watching things happen all over the world that trace back, if you follow the lines, they trace back to America going through major collapse-style problems, and the government stepping in and saying, oh, we have solutions. We're going to put all these lockdowns. We're going to take things, property away from you. We're going to, take your currency away from you. We're going to make things difficult for you to move around or for you to do business because it's all for everyone's safety. This sounds crazy. I get it. It sounds like something out of this sick dystopian movie. But it is their plans. They've said so with their own words. You just need to do the research. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Go on living in your little dream world. But this is in fact what's been happening. And this is what they've said. And we have to start thinking about that and getting ready. Readying ourselves by actively preparing, actively stocking up, actively working with other people of like mind, of creating groups that we can depend on each other, getting out physically and doing stuff, whether it's getting your body in shape, getting your mind in shape of being resilient and self-sufficient. You know, stop living this life that you've been conditioned to live that believes that you can't exist without some kind of stable system. You know, oh, we have to have a supply chain to exist. We have to have modern utilities to exist. We have to have an education system to exist. We have to have a healthcare system to exist. We've existed long before any of those things ever happened, and we can still. We just have to be a little bit more rugged and willing to endure a little bit more hardship. And things that maybe are unpleasant, but we can do it. And especially if we pull together. Folks, you need to be doing this stuff. You need to get serious. Food prices are going up. Last month went up almost 5%, and now with the rice ban, we're already seeing rice prices in some parts of the country going up 25 and 30%. Wheat will probably follow because it's been shooting up in price, which is going to affect a lot of food products, not just bags of wheat and flour. There's so many food products that have wheat in it. It's going to affect a lot of it. Don't be foolish, folks. Get ready, get serious, and get your houses in order. You need to be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.